Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we're going to read another beautiful Ghazal by Maulana. ای طائران قدس را عشقت فزوده بالها. O you whose love gives wings to the birds of the spiritual realm. So any spiritual seeker is a bird. Ultimately, we do have that capacity to fly to the heavens. We're all birds. And what this love does, it gives us more wings. It adds to our wings. فزوده بالها. We'll have more wings, more power. So, yeah, inshallah, let's read this beautiful Ghazal, and then we'll talk about its meanings, verse by verse, bait by bait, as we usually do.
ای طائران قدس را عشقت فزوده بالها، در حلقه سودای تو روحانیان را حالها. در لا احب الآفلین پاکیزه صورتها یقین، در دیده های غیب بین هر دم ز تو تمثالها. افلاک از تو سرنگون، خاک از تو چون دریای خون. ماهت نخوانم ای فزون از ماهها و سالها. کوه از غمت بشکافته، وان غم به دل در تافته. یک قطره خونی یافته از فضلت این افضالها. ای سروران را تو سند، بشمار ما را زان عدد. دانی سران را هم بود اندر تبع دنبالها. سازی ز خاکی سیدی، بر وی فرشته حاسدی. با نقد تو جان کاسدی، پامال گشته ما.
ای طائران قدس را عشقت فزوده بالها. You're the one whose love adds wings. So every soul is a bird. Every soul has that natural inclination to fly towards the heavens. But then this fire of ishq, this fire of divine love, adds to your wings. And then you fly. So then Maulana talks about a circle of passion, the circle of longing for God. It's the dhikr, it's the, as you know, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he says, when you pass by the pastures of paradise, grazing those pastures. And the companions ask, which pastures are you talking about? And the Prophet says, the circles of remembrance, the circles in which God is remembered. So that's the halqa, the circle. Now, in this halqa, in this circle, Ruhaniyan, the souls that have that spiritual inclination, again, the spiritual beings, and it includes angels and humans. They have these Khal, the spiritual states and ecstasy. در لا احب الآفلین پاکیزه صورتها یقین. So this refers to the story of Sayyidina Ibrahim when he looks at the star and he says, هذا ربي, this is my Lord. And he sees his Lord, he sees divine light, divine radiance, and the radiance of the star. So he says, هذا ربي. And then that star sets. He says, لا أحب الآفلين. I do not like things that set. I do not love things that set. So that cannot be my Lord. And then the moon shines in the sky. So he says, هذا ربي. Again, he sees Allah in that moon, in the radiance of the moon. And then the moon also sets. He says, لا أحب الآفلين. I do not love things that set. And then the sun shines in the sky. And then he says, هذا ربي هذا أكبر. This is my Lord. This is greater. And it's interesting, according to Arabic grammar, Shams, sun is feminine. So he should say هذا ربي. But because he does not see the sun anymore, he sees divine light. So he says, هذا ربي. This is my Lord. And again, the sun sets. He says, هذا لا أحب الآفلين. I do not love things that set. So In all the forms in this world, you have that double, you have first of all, the presence of God. So that's why Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says, Hada Rabbi. Anything that you see Allah. Just like Sayyidina Ali, he says, I didn't see anything except that I saw God in it and with it. But at the same time, God is beyond everything. God is transcendent. So we should not be attached to the forms. And that's why Ibrahim alayhi salam says, La uhibbul aflin. I do not like things that set, because forms set. Forms have limitations. Whether it's the sun, whether it's the moon, everything has limitations. But God does not have limitations. God is beyond any physical form, any idol, and that's the paradox. The eyes that are ghaibin, the eyes that see the unseen, they see God in every single thing in this world. They see a reflection, they see an image, they see God in this world just like a mirror that reflects the king, but at the same time, they know that God is transcendent and God is beyond. افلاک از تو سرنگون، خاک از تو چون دریای خون، ماهت نخوانم ای فزون از ماه‌ها و سال‌ها. And that's the divine majesty. Aflak as to sarnakun. The whole planets are overturned with your name. That's how powerful the name of Allah is. And the earth becomes a sea of blood because this love is not comfortable. This love requires sacrifice, requires martyrdom of the self, of the lower self, of the nafs. So it's a dariyah khun, it's a sea of blood. And then Maulana says, I do not call you the moon. Usually poets call their beloved moon as the symbol of beauty in Persian. But Maulana says, no, this is beyond moon, because moon is bound by time, is bound by months and years, but you're beyond time. You're timeless. You're outside time entirely. So how can I call you moon? کوه از غمت بشکافته وان غم به دل در تافته یک قطره خونی یافته از فضلت این افضالها. And کوه از غمت بشکافته, this refers to the story of Musa and Mount Sinai or Sinai. So divine light touches that mountain and that mountain crumbles into dust and Moses falls unconscious. And Maulana says, Yek qatre khuni, the heart, the human heart, which is a drop of blood ultimately, becomes the receptacle, it becomes the recipient of this light. As the hadith says, my earth cannot contain me, my heaven cannot contain me, but the heart of the believer, the hadith Qudsi, the heart of my believing servant can contain me. So that's the radiance of the heart. All of these excellences are gathered into this one drop of blood. And that's the heart that is more expansive than seas, that is wider and stronger than mountains. ای سروران را تو سند بشمار ما را زان عدد دانی سران را هم بود اندر تبع دنبال ها. Now Maulana says, you are the sanad, you're the pillar of the great ones, you're the pillar of the sarwaran. It's all of the saints, all of the anbiya, all of the awliya. You're their pillar, you're the sanad, you're the rock of certainty. Bishmar, Maraz, and Adad. Let us join them. Let us join those great ones, all those great saints and masters as followers. So let us be connected to this caravan. Zinhar safar ba qafile kon. Do not go alone. That's what Maulana says. Do not journey this path alone. You need a leader. You need a caravan. Let us be the tail of that great caravan. Let us go with that caravan of the righteous, of the awliya, of the anbiya. سازی ز خاکی سیدی بر وی فرشته حاسدی با نقد تو جان کاسدی پامال گشته مالها. You're the one who created from dust a sayyid, and that's a master. Adam, he was created from dust, and yet angels were envious of him, as Maulana says, because God taught Adam all the names, and angels didn't have that. Angels didn't have that knowledge. So he became a Sayyid. And Maulana says, because of this, there's the naqd of the divine presence. The naqd is the ready money, is cash. And with that, everything else is dull. Everything else is nothing. Everything else is like false money. All the wealth in this world is nothing compared to that, compared to you. You're the ready money. You're the gold that we seek. Everything else is dull. And that's why all wealth is trampled underfoot, because it's not worth anything compared to you, your vision, being with you. آنکو تو باشی بال او ای رفعت و اجلال او. How glorious, how high is the rank of the one that you give wings to. آنکو چنین شد حال او بر روی دارد خالها. And the one who has this, he is beautiful. He has the khal. Khal is the beauty mark on the face. So the people who have really tasted this closeness to God, who have really tasted this intimacy, they're the ones who are really beautiful. Really beautiful. And no matter what age they are, no matter what physical state they are in, they have that inner beauty which shines, which radiates. There's that mark of grace that you cannot look away from. That's the beautiful soul that's radiating. That's the mark of beauty, the khal. And the khal, the beauty mark. It appears a lot in Persian poetry as a sign of beauty. As Hafiz says, اگر آن ترک شیرازی به دست آرد دل ما را به خال هندویش بخشم سمرقند و بخارا را. If that Turk from Shiraz, or if that beauty from Shiraz takes my heart in hand, so I will give Samarkand and Bukhara as a gift to her, as a gift for her beauty mark, for the beauty of the mole on her cheeks. I will give Samarkand and Bukhara. And then some centuries later, Sa'ib Tabrizi, in his poem, he says, هر آن کس چیز میبخشد ز مال خویش میبخشد. Anyone who gives anything, they give from their own possessions. Natural Hafiz can میبخشد Samarkand and Bukhara, or not like Hafiz who gives Samarkand and Bukhara and they're not his to give away. But anyway, the beauty mark is, in Persian poetry, it appears a lot. And here, of course, it's the beauty of Simahum fi wujuhihim, as the Quran says. In their appearance, it shines, it radiates the beauty of the presence of God. And so they have that beauty in them. That's the divine beauty. That's the beauty that radiates from within. گیرم که خارم خار بد. And I might be a thorn. I might be lowly. By myself, I'm nothing. But I'm close to a rose. I might be nothing by myself, but I'm with a rose. The beauty of the companion. The companionship is so key. It's so fundamental for Maulana, for Sa'di, for all the great teachers of Tasawwuf. That's reminds me of the story in Sa'di. In Sa'di Shirazi, he says, گلی خوشبوی در حمام روزی رسید از دست محبوبی به دستم. So back then they had a type of gel, they would call it gel sarshui, a type of clay that they would use as a shampoo to wash their hair. And Sa'di says, in the bathhouse, someone gave me a piece of clay that was so fragrant. So it had this beautiful smell. And Sa'di is a poet, so he has conversations even with a piece of clay. So he says, بدو گفتم که مشکی یا عبیری که از بوی دل آویز تو مستم. I told this piece of clay, are you musk? Why are you so fragrant? بگفتا من گلی ناچیز بودم. And he said, or that clay said, I'm nothing but clay. ولیکن مدتی با گل نشستم. But I was the companion of a rose. And gel and gul in Persian sound quite similar, right? Gel is clay, gul is rose. I was nothing, I was just clay, but I kept the companionship of a rose. کمال همنشین در من اثر کرد. And the perfection of that companion affected me. And that's how I became fragrant. So yeah, Maulana is saying, I am by myself, I'm nothing but a thorn, but I keep the companionship of a rose. And that's why my thorniness has a place, because it leads you to the rose. And he gives another imagery, the sarraf, the gold changer. Look, when he wants to measure the gold on the scales, he puts a grain of barley on top, a barley grain on top. So we might be little by ourselves, but because we're connected to that caravan, we are connected to the master goldsmith. That's what gives us our preciousness. That's what gives us our value. Diva John, please.
By like the last thing that you said, I remember it's like one of the poems that my dad usually reads for us as a form of advice, which says پسر نوح با بدان بنشست خاندان نبوتش گم شد سگ اصحاب کهف روز چند پی نیکان گرفت مردم شد. I'm actually not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but he always uses it as in like the nose and like Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam's son was hanging out with bad people, and he like literally like said God doesn't exist and just stayed on the mountain. But with the Ashab Kahf, there was a dog, and like literally till this day we know him and we know that dog and we remember him as a good person because they were the God was protecting them. So that's what my dad always says to us as a form of advice.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great advice. Absolutely. Allah. And that's what Maulana says again and again. جامعه اسپید خواهی ای فلان رو مگردان از محله گازران. If you want your clothes to be clean, go and find a house close to the neighborhood of the launderers. If there are a lot of laundries in your area, you're more likely to have clean clothes. So that's the power of companionship. And it goes both ways.
Yeah, on the subject of beauty and truth, Sina Jan, it is interesting that in Islamic philosophy, the concepts of truth, beauty, justice, these are not separated concepts, but they're unified concepts, and they come in manifestation in the existence of gods, because we know God because he is al-haq, he's the truth. That's what makes him beautiful, and that's why he's just. So you cannot have beauty without the truth and justice. But then the modern world, unfortunately, if we say the quote-unquote the Western world, these concepts are separated, and the beauty has lost its meaning. It has become something superficial and materialistic. Only to it refers to the glitter rather than the innate beauty that exists. And that's quite unfortunate in many ways. One way is, of course, that we see things that are not in reality beautiful. Like we might see a person who has physical beauty, but that does not mean that the person is beautiful, because maybe the person in his heart is quite evil, right, and narcissistic. That's not the definition of beauty. So once the world becomes superficial and these fundamental words lose their meaning, we see the situation that we have now. So one symptoms of pessimism, the depression, is that an individual becomes incapable of seeing beauty. If we look at like a beautiful mountain or we look at a beautiful garden, we can see the beauty and it makes us happy. But many times somebody who's depressed sees the beauty but cannot experience that beauty, because in some sense the soul has been distanced from the divine. So once we return to the divine, we once again become able to see the beauty in all of creation.
Yes. So yeah, for us, the source of beauty is Allah. Inna Allah jamila. God is beautiful, and He loves beauty. So ultimately, there is no beauty, there is no true beauty except divine beauty. Anything beautiful is a reflection of the true beauty that is Allah. And also, there is no truth, there is no reality other than Allah. Allahu huwa al-haq. Allah is the reality, Allah is the truth. So ultimately, there is no, in the Western world, there's that dichotomy, true and beauty. They say that this is too good to be true, or this is too, there's that truth is here and beauty is there. But no, the truer something is, the more beautiful it is. So truth by itself is beautiful. And yeah, that is, the vision, the beauty is the splendor of the truth. Beauty is the radiation of truth.
Just reminded of that. When you say Western world, there is also the poets have sung within the Western world also, as I mentioned, this famous line by Keats come to mind. Beauty is truth, and truth beauty. That's all you know on earth and all you need to know. It's
Allah.
like, he put it in a nutshell, in the sense that Al-Haq. And this is that's a divine, I think, divinely inspired lines, I believe, which came from Keats.
So Maulana says, "Fikri bodast af'alha." All actions were once thoughts. So any action that you think of, anything that you can see, great buildings, great bridges, actions, whether it's prayers, all of them, they were once thoughts. So ای برادر تو همه اندیشه، you're nothing but thoughts. ما بقیت استخوان و ریشه. Other than thoughts, everything else is secondary. Everything else is just bones, other than thoughts. So that's the main thing. That's the origin. And then غالب است این حالها. Yes. The spiritual experiences that you have, at one point there were words, but then you internalize them. You turn them into reality. You turn them into an experience. And sometimes it's the other way around. You experience, you have that spiritual state. And then it forces you, it's so powerful that it forces you to speak. It forces you to say, as Maulana himself says, you're the one who inspires me to say this poetry from within me, from within my soul. And if I'm silent, I'm breaking your command. I'm going against your command. So it's that state that is forcing Maulana to express that in words, to say that in words. So words can become states and states can become words. آغاز عالم قلقله، پایان عالم زلزله، عشقی و شکری با گله، آرام با زلزالها. Maulana says the beginning of this world was noise, was clamor. And then the ending is zalzale, is the earthquake. As in the Quran, إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها, when the earth shakes. And in the middle, in this dunya, you have everything. You have love, you have thankfulness, but you also have complaints, the complaint of longing for the beloved. That's the gilay ashaqan, the complaint of lovers. And then you have happy days, you have sad days, you have calm, you have earthquakes, you have all of that. Because this path is not supposed to be flat. It's not supposed to be a flat line. There is peace, but there is also longing. There is also that earthquake of the soul. Now, in this world, with all its earthquakes and all its ups and downs, what do you need to seek? You need to seek love, the divine love. The signature of Shams is twilight. The signature of sun, the divine sun. For Maulana, Shams means simultaneously divine sun. It also means his teacher, Shams of Tabriz. So Maulana says, yes, just like the shafaq, the twilight is the signature that shows you the sun has set or the sun has risen. Love, divine love, is the signature of good fortune. Anyone who's experienced that love knows that this is the signature of being blessed, being truly blessed, if you experience that pull. And that fall, optimism, really. And, being that, having that positive view. As Nizami says, تو خود را فال نیکو زن چه دانی? If you don't know if the future is going to bring good or bad, be optimistic. So seek God. Don't be like that worker who stays in the basement. Come out and look for the Sultan. Look for the king. As rahmatun lil alamin, and that's the good fortune. That's the good fortune. The Prophet ﷺ, rahmatun lil alamin. He's a mercy to the worlds. Iqbal darvishan bebin. Iqbal is again blessed fortune, but it's also going forward. Aqbala is to go forward. So look at the fortune of the dervishes, the seekers, because of the rahmah that's coming ultimately from Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Their cloaks, and in the case of dervishes, it's ragged, patched cloaks. Outwardly, it's nothing noticeable, but it has light. It has light of wisdom and truth in it. And their shawls have the fragrance, the beauty of a rose. So beyond the appearances, they have that beauty, they have that fragrance, which is coming from the sun, which is coming from the Prophet's light, from the Siraj al-Munira. You're sent as a bright lamp. عشق امر کل ما رقعی او قلزم و ما جرعی. Love is the universal command, and we're but a fragment. ما رقعی, we're just a fragment. Love is the ocean, and we're just like a sip. So Maulana is constantly pointing beyond himself. He says, everything that I say, whether it's in the Masnavi, it's in the Divan, it's all a taste, it's all a sip. But you need to go and seek the ocean yourself. There's something beyond this. You need to go and seek that ocean. And that ocean is endless. That ocean is infinite. And that's why the Quran says, Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, لَوْ كَانَ الْبَحْرُ مِدَادًا لِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّي. If the ocean was ink for the words of my Lord, the ocean would be exhausted, but the words of my Lord know no end. There's no end to the words of my Lord, because it's infinite. It comes from the infinite. There is no end. There is no beginning. It's beginningless. It's endless. And love is its own proof. The sun is the proof of the sun. Yes, you make petty arguments, but love is its own proof. When you're drowned in the ocean, you don't need proof that the ocean exists. You don't need a book to tell you that water is wet. You're already wet. When you're burning in that fire, you don't need proofs from a book to tell you that fire exists. You're already consumed by that fire. And yeah, love is its own proof. That's what Maulana constantly reminds us of. As عشق گردون مختلف بی عشق اختر منخسف. And love harmonizes the whole world, brings the world together. Love is what unifies, makes people one. That's love, the power of love. As Maulana says in the Masnavi, you have the story in the Masnavi. There is a Greek and a Turk and a Persian and an Arab, and they all want grapes, but the Persian calls it angur. That's the Persian word for angur. And the Arab calls it anab, and the Turk calls it uzum, and the Greek calls it istafil. So they keep fighting. They keep fighting. And Maulana says, so long as there is no real love for the truth, not for the name, not for the outward name, but for the reality, as نزاع ترک و رومی و Arab, from the arguments of that Turk and the Greek and the Arab, you don't have harmony. You have only fighting. تا سلیمان لسین معنوی می نیاید بر نخیزد این دو. Unless Sulaiman, who knows all these languages and who is spiritual, unless Sulaiman comes, this duality does not leave us. This duality, this fighting does not leave us. And that's what Maulana is saying. Ishq, that's the power that love has, divine love has. It brings the whole world together. Whether it's the Arab, the Persian, the Greek, the Turk, all these different nationalities, they all come together because they have one love. You know, as the poem by Allama Iqbal, in which he sees Sayyidina Abu Bakr in a dream, and he asks him, why is it that the Ummah, the Muslim world, is so fragmented? And Sayyidina Abu Bakr says to him, it's because people have forgotten that essence, that root. آنکه نام تو مسلمان کرده است از دوی سوی یکی آورده است. The one who's called you Muslim is brought you from two, from being fragmented, from being attached to different lords and different idols, to oneness, to unity. از دوی سوی یکی آورده است. خویشتن را ترک و افغان خوانده ای. And you call yourself Turk, you call yourself Afghan, you attach yourself to different identities and so on. وای بر تو کانچه بودی مانده ای. You've remained what you were. You haven't learned the true essence of Tawheed. And the true essence of Tawheed is اینکه در 100 سینه پیچد یک نفس. One breath in 100 breasts. One breath in 100, on 100 tongues. And that's the power of love that brings people together. And without love, all the stars will grow dim. There is no light in this world. There's no truth in this world without love. And love, it transforms you. If you're bent and crooked like a doll, letter doll in Arabic is crooked, it's bent, love will make you like an aleph, upright. And without love, even if you're aleph, even if you're outwardly strong and you can stand on your own feet, but without love, no matter how proud you are, this world will bend you. This world will bend you and you will become crooked like a doll, like the letter doll in Arabic or Persian. So love is the only thing that will help you be upright in this world. آب حیات آمد سخن آید ز علم من لدن. Words that come from من لدن, from divinely inspired, and that comes from the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf. You have Musa and Khizr. And Khizr, Allah Ta'ala says, we taught him a knowledge from us. So it was not external knowledge. It was not knowledge that came from books. And that's what the Sufis call Ilm-e, the knowledge divinely inspired. Bi kitab wa bi mu'id wa usta, without books, without teachers. It comes from within. It comes from that, directly from God. And that speech, those words are the water of life. Again, the water of life that Khizr found. That's the true water of life. Anyone who finds that, they will never die. That's the eternal, will make you eternal. So, if you want your soul to be fruitful, do not let go. Do not keep your soul empty of this spiritual wisdom. And this also includes the spiritual poetry of people like Maulana. It's not just for pleasure. We don't read Maulana just for pleasure because it's, it looks, it sounds nice to the ear. No, it's because our soul needs that. Our soul needs that water to flourish, to be inspired to pray, to be inspired to serve and to love God and to know God. So it's the water of life. And then Maulana is going to explain how to enjoy that, how to take that into your soul. Maulana says, بر اهل معنی شد سخن اجمالها تفصیلها. For the people who have that inclination towards meaning, even a single word, ijmal, a brief summary, is enough for them to transform them. They can unpack that single sentence into endless details. In one seed, they can see the whole forest. Just like Sayyidina Ali, he says, the Prophet taught me the tafsir of Al-Fatiha, the commentary of Al-Fatiha, such that it was 70 camel loads, 70 shotor bar, as tafsir al-Fatiha, in one night. So in one night, the Prophet taught me the commentary of Al-Fatiha, 70 camel loads. Now, people who don't understand how spirituality works, they say this is fabricated. How can anyone teach anyone 70 camel loads in one night? That's not possible. But what Sayyidina Ali means is maybe the Prophet said one word. Maybe he was silent. Maybe there was no word. But Sayyidina Ali, because he had that, he was Ahl Ma'ani. He unpacked that. He unpacked that from that one word or that one sentence, something that would amount to 70 camel loads. So from that one word, his life was, he unpacked it into those meanings. And the opposite is also true. Ahl Surat, the followers of form, you give them great details, books, encyclopedias, but they don't understand anything. It doesn't transform them. It's flat, it's lifeless. They don't get it. But for the true traveler, one line is enough. One line is enough to transform them and to take them towards the roots. در شعرها گفتند پر به بود دریا ز در. Yes, there are many poems. There are many poems and especially in the spiritual tradition. You have the poems of Maulana, of Sana'i, of Hafiz, of Sa'di. There's so many poems. And it's good to have an ocean with lots of pearls. Each poem is a pearl, and that's beautiful. And Maulana says we need to have that joy that the camel has, the dhawq, again, tasting, the joy of poetry. The joy that a camel has, the camel that's carrying all those loads, all those burdens, and because of the sweetness of the music and the melody, that's carrying that burden becomes easy for that camel. So Maulana says, I'm giving you all these poems so that you taste them, so that you find dhawq in them, and you can carry your burden with ease. That's the art of the camel. Sa'di also has the story of there was this faqih who was traveling with Sa'di, and he was a grumpy faqih, and he didn't like music. He didn't like music, and he thought music is not Islamic and so on. And Sa'di says to him, "Ushtur be she'r Arab dar halat ast tarab." Look, the camels, they react to Persian poetry, to Arabic poetry, be she'r Arab. The camels get intoxicated when they hear Arabic poetry. The beauty of the melody affects them. And they're in tarab, they're in ecstasy. They can walk miles without getting tired. And again, that taste. If you don't have that taste, what sort of animal are you? So, Maulana says these poems can become aids. They can help you on this journey. They can make that journey lighter and easier. Yes, so that was the final bait. Any comments, reflections?
Regarding that, about the summary becomes the tafsir, I think. I was thinking that, like in the verse in the Quran, which says, Qulillah summa dharhum fi khawlihim yal'abun. Like even the word Allah is sufficient for anyone to understand. And this Arabic proverb, which in Urdu also, al-aqilu yakfihi lishara. So that is like teaching, the paradox of teaching has been described. Teaching is most effective where it is least needed. in the sense that if you have to give long lectures, means the student is no good. And if the student is really good, you don't need any lectures. You just need a indication. I think Maulana also alludes to the fact that if it's a prepared, if the person is takes his allusions, then he will take that in the spirit, and then he will reach the states that he is pointing to. Otherwise, the mere words and talk will not be enough. I think he's pointing to that.
Yeah, and when there is more meaning, there is less words. Just like when two people, they know everything about each other. They don't need to talk anymore. They know, they know what they want. And so it is, the people of inner meaning, they don't need words that much. And they understand more from little. Absolutely. And Hujwiri, he says, "Kana tasawwufu halan." Sufism used to be a hal, a state. Fasara qalan, and then it became qal, it became words. So the earlier generation of Sufis, they were concerned with the hal, with the states. And then they came the later generation who were more concerned with words. Oh, yes, Ashraf, please.
This was in response to that. Maulana here says that the words are the water of life, in the sense that I mean, paraphrasing an English writer, I think Kipling said it somewhere. The most powerful drug known to human beings are words, in the sense that words, for those who really like poetry, for example, the power of poetry, the power of scripture, the power of invocation, whatever, the words in those who are responsive to it, that can really be very powerful, in the sense that this hal and kal. I think there's another, like if the kal comes from the hal, or maybe that is itself there, that distinction actually probably breaks down in what Maulana said here, that the words are the water of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Allah. Words are the water of life. I mean, Ilm-e min Ladunni. The words that come from knowledge divinely inspired, they're the water of life. Absolutely. Yes, Ashraf, please.
Yeah, one thing that came to mind is in the Ghazal, there is this allusion that the mark of the lovers is that they are positive or they are happy, like that. Khal, you mentioned that. It brought to mind this idea that I think it's mentioned in somewhere by Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi, that this idea that Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, the Basmala, actually it's a sufficient bashara, it's a sufficient good tidings, because God has, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, God has said Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. He did not say that Bismillahil Jabbarul Mutakabbir or some other words like that. Whole of this creation comes from the divine mercy and will return to it, in the sense that God has, and also the idea that from the Rahmatul Lil Alamin, the next bite says that regarding from the Rahmatul Lil Alamin, Wama arsalnaka illa Rahmatul Lil Alamin, and this idea that he is a pure mercy, and so we follow him, and any connection to him will have to end up in mercy. So in the end, those who recognize, or rather those who have the taste of it, will have to be in the sense that happy. Walidhalika falyafrahu. It is said in the Quran.
I don't know if there's time for more stories, Sina Jan, about Allah and remembrance and peace.
Please, Alijan.
Yeah. This story is about the Iran-Iraq war. In the 80s, with a lot of chaos and injustice and so on. So one of the soldiers who was in the front lines, one day he passes by a Qom, and he meets the great Allama Tabatabai, and he asks the great Allama, in the midst of all of this chaos, where is God? And Allama beautifully answers, God is in the place where your heart seeks serenity and peace. And that one sentence, as Maulana would say, transforms this individual. That after the war, he comes and he becomes a student of the great Allama Tabatabai. and becomes a great scholar in his own sense. So that just shows the power of transformation of words when someone is a genuine seeker of God. This individual genuinely wanted to understand God. It was not but if somebody is arrogant and pretentious and wants to argue, go into all sorts of philosophical jargon to provide all sorts of counter arguments for the existence of God, then you can never overwhelm the ego of that individual, because there's not much love for God. There's a lot of love for the ego, but Maulana says only one form of love can dominate another form. So that love of the divine must come to the heart so that the ego can be dominated and suppressed. Thank you.
Allah, indeed. Please, Ashfaq.
Yeah, just about that alif and dal, it just came from love. The dal became the alif, and then alif. It was very interesting in that alif dal meme. It's the how we write Adam. So that when you write, there is meme, and there is in the one side there is alif and then dal. I think it's a very meaningful, and so many allusions are hidden in that, in the sense that the prayer, for example, the three a particular three positions are there, and then qiyam, ruku and sujud, for example, and then meme obviously is a key late sentence, letter, meme, maut, Muhammad, and then all that, and alif also, the alif also, this verse by Hafiz, I think you mentioned regarding somewhere, neest bar lawh dilam juz alif iqamat te dost chekunam harfe digar yad nadad ustadam. Like that alif contains everything, in that sense, that alif and that stature of the human being, and then also the stature of the human being, that ruku, warka umar raki'in, and then sujud, wasjud waqtarib. So all of that, in the sense with regard to like dying also, meme also means mouth, in the sense that not mentioned about that. We mentioned about alif and dal, but meme is something like the sujud and mouth and qurb and all that is alluded by this kind of allusion to the alif and dal, I think.
Allah. Sheikh Mahmoud Shabastari, he says, "Za Ahmad ta Ahad yek meme farq ast." There is one meme between Ahmad and Ahad. Jahani and darin yek meme qarq ast. And the whole world is drowned in this meme, because the meme is that circular shape. Right? So you hear the alif is the upright man, and then the dal is the bent, the one who's bent by this world and by all the calamities, all the tribulations of this world. But regardless of all the tribulations, love is the force that straightens you, is the force that gives you that uprightness, the power to stay connected, to stay resilient. Yes, Ashwin, please.
And from the alif, this Arabic word allafa bainahum, and also the idea of union. You said, ulfat means love, in the sense that I think it's from the same root, alif, allafa bainahum. And this is what is probably really needed, in the sense, in the time of people are not coming together. It's love that will bring them together. And I think Allama Iqbal says in one place, it's the love of the Prophet that runs like blood in the veins of this ummah, this community. In the sense that is what brings them together. And that is what should bring them together. That is, without that love, people are all going to be thinking of their own sectarian or some other forms of thought process. And once that love comes, all of that really should vanish. And there should only be that love for the Prophet, and that love which will have to, like what Maulana is alluding to, the fact that all the other things just disappear. And when that comes, and when it comes, I think it has other social and also probably other consequences to that, like from what you mentioned earlier. It's actually a remedy to the troubles that face the community too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Allah. And that's, in the Masnavi, Maulana reminds us that Aus and Khazraj in Medina, they were fighting each other for many years, for decades. And because of the Prophet, because of their love for the Prophet ﷺ, they came together. They became brothers. Because of this love, you became brothers. And that's what love does. It brings hearts together. It brings hearts together. And yeah, Maulana says, as Nizaa Turk Rumi Arab, you have the dispute of the Turks and the Arabs and the Greeks. All of these different nationalities, different tribal identities, different sectarian identities. As نزاع ترک و رومی و عرب حل نشد اشکال انگور و عنب. It didn't lead to the problem of that grapes and عنب being resolved, because all of them, they're concerned with being right instead of looking at what the other really says. They all want to be right. We all want to be right. تا سلیمان لسین معنوی در نیاید بر نخیزد این دوی. Unless that Suleiman comes, the one who knows all these languages, the master of languages, of meaning. And he's not talking about a polyglot who knows a lot of different languages. No, the language of meaning. لسان معنوی, the language of meaning. Unless he comes, or this person comes, this wali of Allah comes, this duality, this tension, this enmity remains. And that Suleiman, or that wali of Allah, is the representation of love, of divine love. آفرین بر عشق کل اوستاد. Hail, welcome to love, the great master. صد هزاران ذره را داد اتحاد. And he is the one who brings 100,000 atoms of the universe, particles. They're all scattered, but this sun brings them all together. Just like the همچنین هر خاک بود بر رهگذر, there are different particles of dust on the path, and the hands of the potter brings them all together and makes a single jar. So yeah, that's the power of the wali of Allah. It brings hearts together. Yes, people, and we see that. We still see that in, I mean, yes, there is fragmentation in the Muslim world, but there's also remarkable unity. There's also remarkable unity. And you go that, you know, a regular masjid, there is a Turkish person and someone from Africa and some from Bosnia, and they all have different languages they speak, different, but this love brings them together to be together, even if, you know, if it's just for the prayer. But that itself is remarkable. That itself is remarkable. People from different parts of the world, different languages, different tribes, they all come together. And that's what love, what power brought them together. That itself is remarkable.
I think in the verse that you cited regarding the Aus and Khazraj, or it is in another verse, I'm not sure, it's mentioned, Kuntum ala shafa hufrati minan nar. And then fa'allafa bainahum, in the sense that you were just on the verge of complete like disaster or destruction. I think it relates a lot, speaks to our current state too, in the sense that it's love that will, nur and nar, in the sense of nar and nar, nuruka atfa anarana. Maulana contrasts that. Both are like fire. The fire of love and the fire of destruction. There's a sense in which the fire of love, or the light, which goes beyond all the other like fires, and that cannot be destroyed. And so somehow that fire of love and shafa hufrati minan nar, and it comes that it alludes to, and also regarding that in the context of that particular Angur and those that argument between people of four nationalities. I think in that context is this verse from the Masnavi that came to mind. I think so, that it said that اختلاف خلق از نام افتاد چون به معنا رفت آرام افتاد. The sense that aram, that peace comes when you recognize that they're all like mana, or that meaning is the same. I think that is peace is what is really the result of that recognition, and that is what is really needed. I think this has a powerful like effect on not only like individual spiritual realization, but also on the community and the situation in which people are currently in this kind of trials.
Yeah, absolutely. اختلاف خلق از نام افتاد. The difference, the disputes of people, it's because of names. One person calls it angur, the other person calls it uzum. It's names. چون به معنا رفت آرام افتاد. When you come to the meaning, to the spiritual meaning, to the essence, there's peace. So what's the path to peace is going also to the meaning, attaching yourself to the meaning instead of attaching yourself to names. And meaning is ultimately Allah. Meaning is ultimately dhikrullah. When you come there, there is peace. There is unity. There is oneness. Apparently, some of the Indian sages, they would say cows are of different colors. There's so many different colors of cows, but the milk is one. The milk is one color. And so it is with the different awliya of Allah, different prophets, different, yes, the outward aspects are different. The shari'as are different. The laws, the way they're in different madhahib, different languages, there are outward differences. But once you come to the milk, you come to the kernel, to the real meaning, it's all oneness. It's all dhikrullah. It's all la ilaha illallah. That's one. That's where you have the unity. And just like, or with the analogy of the tree, the branches of the tree, they all contradict each other. Once you come to the root, first of all of the branches are yours, and there is oneness. So that's the journey to the meaning. It's also a journey to the peace. It's also a journey to oneness. So in this ghazal, we had birds and we also had camels. You know, Maulana's ghazals, it's, you know, it takes us it took us to the Daryai Khun, the sea of blood, and it took us to the planets and the moon, and then to the mountains of Sina, and then to the waves of the sea, and then the rose, and then to the desert with the camels. So we've had a tour of the world with all the deserts and forests and seas and oceans and so on. But yes, ultimately we're camels. We have these heavy loads in this life, trials, the duties, all the griefs, all the tensions. But the song that helps this camel is dhikrullah, is remembering Allah. And divine poetry is one form of that. And it intoxicates us. It gives us that joy, so that this travel becomes less burdensome and more joyful. It becomes a joy rather than labor. So may we, inshallah, all taste this joy of taking in this spiritual poetry, and may this journey become a journey of joy, a journey of happiness.